Have you ever wondered why the media always seems to be getting their 2 cents into the process of politics in this country? And how, instead of helping us arrive at conclusions that actually make sense and at providing insightful awareness of facts and evidence that allows us to construct a meaningful picture of our world and of the reality that we live in as citizens of this country, instead of doing that, what they actually do is create, how would I say it, a circular reality in which nothing ever changes, and the game's constantly perpetuated, and no facts or real evidence is ever presented in a meaningful or constructive way so that we can actually unravel the dysfunctions of our system, of our political system, our economic system, our social system. They don't provide us information designed to do that. In fact, that's the last thing they provide us to do. And the reason that's so has to do with things that most people are fully unaware of. Even though most people watch television on a regular basis, they do not understand the true motives, the true and accurate purpose, function, and intent of those who control the media corporations in this country. We actually are made to think that what these people are doing is somehow um, uh, in the public service, that they're just providing a service and that they should get a reasonable profit for their investment of time and effort and capital. And yet, what is never addressed is when they have to go apply for their license every several years with the FCC, everything they claim they have to present some argument that their intent is to create something positive for the public good, and that they're going to fulfill these requirements, which are part of their obligation to be issued a license. And yet, what happens, obviously, since I've been watching TV in the '60s and the early '60s, is that that's never happened. Instead, what the TV has basically become is a psychological and intellectual wasteland of manipulation, exploitation, deceptions at the highest level, using our ignorance against us as a tool and a weapon, relying on our most base instincts, fear, violence, sexual perversions, as tools to basically connive out of us or elicit out of us a response or a participation in a sales product that they're marketing. You know, when they market things to us on television, they put up these little ads that are sometimes these little storylines, and we think it's a storyline, but what in reality is, from the actual construction, from the artistic point of view and the manipulative point of view of the actual marketing company that produced that video, that commercial, they realize that the goal is this: you create an image of a story and you use that to propagate the illusion in the mind of the watcher. That's what they're seeing. And then behind that layer, you create another layer, which is a manipulative, subconscious, and subliminal layer of information and of cues, bells, little pointing figures, little things in the background like this television here that you're not supposed to visually focus in on, but they know from research into the functions of the mind and how the brain actually operates and how the eyes actually perceive information and the ears perceive information and how it's integrated into your overall understanding, or parts of it that you don't understand but are still integrated into your subconscious mind, which is why they call it subliminal programming, is that it has nothing to do with the product they're selling at all. It's about an idea that you don't even realize you're being sold. For example, if you're buying whiskey, you might see images of death subtly show up on the corner of the image of the television screen. Maybe it's a small picture on the mantelpiece, and there's blood pouring down from some poor dude's head with a hatchet in his head. You can't visually focus enough to see it, but subliminally you do. And you recognize it's a violent image, and the part of you that's angry and frustrated and violent is attracted to that. You're actually drawn to that. How would I say it? You can relate to it. You identify with it, and once you do, on a subconscious level, you accept the product as welcome as the idea. So your violence is validated. By showing you violence, you get a reflection of what's actually going on under the surface in the minds of a lot of people who do a lot of heavy drinking. And at the same time, you are going to attach an attraction, an enjoyment, a positive charge to that product, that they are aligning with that idea. That's how the media actually functions to manipulate conceptions of marketing in ways that completely undermine the normal viewer's ability or aptitude to realize or analyze what's actually being sold to them. Most of it is on a subconscious level. They're being turned into something by exploiting the function button on their brain that is subconsciously motivated. That because many people are not educated in that area, don't even realize exist. They don't understand what a hypnotic program the television actually creates by eliciting alpha waves, which put the brain in a certain state of receptivity, so they're no longer, uh, how would I say it, at their highest level of analytical observation. A lot of it's just absorbing whatever is being thrown on the screen. They just take it in and they don't filter it. They don't have the cognitive debater up there claiming why it's not real, why they're being lied to, why Coke is bad for you. They just get this wonderful smile and a Coke on a sunny day in California, on a brilliant summer day, and a Coke. And that somehow is a beautiful image that stirs the heart, and they identify stirring the heart with a Coke. So now they want a Coke, even though it's just pure sugar water that rots even a piece of red meat after 3 days into a hideous looking pile of goo. They still they don't know any of that, and they don't want to know any of it once they decide they want a Coke. And that's exactly how marketing works. It tricks them into thinking they want something that is not good for them. It will not serve their best interest. It will exploit and manipulate them. But for some reason, a switch has been triggered at a different level that makes them want it anyways. That's the corruption of what marketing does. It should have been outlawed a long time ago. The regulation behind marketing and advertising and television imagery should have been the most highly regulated system in the world, not the opposite. And of course, it was always claimed freedom of speech, but that's called a red herring. And what that means is that that's not the issue. The issue doesn't have to do with the fact that people don't have the right to say what they want to say. They should have that. And the marketing is nothing to do with that, is the problem. The marketing is a whole nother nature, and that's why it needs to be regulated. What the idea of free speech represents is, of course, the ability to say whatever you want, or the opportunity to say it within certain parameters of public safety and within certain formalities, perhaps, of discourse. But they're not designed to restrict someone's right to an opinion. And that option of free speech should never be violated and must always be protected, because once it's not, we're screwed. Then we're in a system of oppression and control and tyranny. But that's not what this is about. What we're talking about is a system of technology that has learned to undermine the focus, thought process, analytical filter of the conscious mind, so that when someone is being um, uh, exposed to a set of concepts, video concepts, they are in fact being exploited at a level, manipulated at a level they are fully and completely unaware of. But from the technological point of view and from the position of those who create these subliminal patternings, these background images and subtle noises, masking of second volume tracks that give us a voice whispering something that you can't hear audibly, but subconsciously you do hear it. Like the Bush ad campaign back in '04 that put up the word rats. That's nothing new. And they just got caught doing it because they're so stupid. They wanted to extend the image as long as possible because that gives it a greater imprint on the mind. But in reality, it was just verification that it's been going on since the very beginning. Nothing's changed. It's completely. You thought that popcorn ad somehow, they legislated against that one particular strain. If I told you there's a virus that has 5,000 ways of it functioning and growing, and 5,000 variations on its existence, and we're only gonna protect against one strain or one variant. What have I really done? I'll tell you what I've done. I've created the illusion that we've done something, when in fact we've done nothing. What we've really done is make sure the door stays open to these things. That made sure the system of broadcasting always had access to subliminal, manipulative, and exploitive technologies that literally are undermining any ability of the average viewer from being able to make a decision or analytically recognizing what it is they're being induced to believe. And that is evil. That's wrong of the worst sort. That is corruption of the highest order. I mean, to do that, you have to, it's like giving someone a date rape drug, basically, is what it really is. It's the same, because you're manipulating them at a level where they actually believe it's them making a decision. And it's not. They have been implanted with a request at a certain level, and then they identify with a certain idea. And that's how they are, so how I say, suggestible and suggested to do something that they in turn begin to do without realizing the full implication of why they're doing it. They're identifying with a subliminal image that has been presented and attached to the desired change of their behavior in order to get them to think whatever the change that's being programmed is actually something that identifies with the idea, and thus A and B are good, right? Death, Seagrams, you know, death, Johnny Walker, death, Johnny, fucking what is that old Southern, what's that shit? Old grandpa, old granddad. Yeah, they know whiskey sells. Death and whiskey go together, so they use images of death. It's been proven. Many professors in sociology and marketing and advertising have shown. So there's several books on the subject. Some of what was utterly attacked, and the greatest attempts to discredit it were made, but the actual statements made in the books were not discreditable. They were factual. They were explaining how marketing utilizes technology to manipulate and deceive people into believing and doing things they would not normally do if they had the right to the full understanding of what it was they were being manipulated into. And that should be a crime. But in this country, it's how things operate. That's your problem. That's one of them. Mark in the media. You got it.